Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you guys how I do my baby boomer faded French ombre gel nail. We're going to sculpt this up from the beginning. Everyone has a different way of creating their nails, so this is how I found that I do mine, and it works for me really well. I like this. So it's just something to go by. It's not the ultimate answer for everything, but hopefully this video helps you guys somewhat. So I've already prepped my nail. We've applied our bonder, our primer, and I've cured for 30 seconds, and we'll get started. What I'm going to use today is the Accents products. I'm going to use a little bit of balance to build up my free edge. I have mixed a little bit of the Control Ultra White and the Control Natural White together. I didn't want a stark white, but I wanted a little bit more white than what the natural white does. So we've got a nice little in between. And I'm going to be using the Balance Warm Pink. And I'll explain to you about that when we get there as well. And for our form, I'm going to do sort of an almond-shaped nail today. So I've already applied my form and pinched it. I've trimmed the form to fit my finger again and made the little slits in the sides so it fits properly. And you can see we've got a nice straight line coming off the top of the form as well. So let's go ahead and build out a free edge. And this is just going to be the exact same way we did this in the video for our sculpted French nail. We don't want our free edge to be too thick because we are going to be applying white to this, but you need it to have a little bit of something to it because we are going to give this a bit of a pinch. I don't want to go too long with this finger. You make sure you cover all your corners when you're applying your first layer of gel here. And this part isn't a step that you want to rush through. You want to make sure that you do this properly so you have everything covered. You don't want any gaps on the sides of your nail. Make sure I'm staying in the camera here for you guys. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's do a coffin shape today for this nail, just because we can do that. Okay. All right, so there's our little sculpted free edge. We're going to give this a freeze cure, just a couple seconds. Okay, so we'll pinch this a little bit, not a lot. When we've applied our form this way and already pre-pinched our form at the end, our form is doing a lot of the work for us. So we don't need to go crazy with pinching this shape when you've already got your form applied this way. Okay, so we're going to go back in the light for 30 seconds. So when I start building my nail out this way, I like to start with my white first. Some people like to do the pink, some people like to do the white. It depends what kind of product you're working with. I know some people have a preference. If they're working with acrylic, maybe they'll bring the pink out first. Everyone does it differently. So again, this is how I found that I like to do mine, and it works really well for me. So I will show you what I do with mine. The reason also I mixed my ultra white with my natural white, I find the ultra white, it's a little bit different consistency of a gel. It's not, the natural white is closer to the balance, and I like how that blends and spreads. So I prefer to work with a little bit of a mix with the natural white in it. It's just a better consistency for me. But again, that is completely personal preference too. Okay, so you can see I've applied the white to the free edge, and I'm going to pull this down. And when I'm using my brush, it's a very, very light motion. It's kind of a pat and pull motion. And I just want to blend this white down onto my natural nail so you don't see it. We're just going to fade it in. And pull that down. What you don't want to have is a wall of white, because even though we're going to be using our Balance Warm Pink, it's not a completely opaque gel, so you're going to see a little bit through it. So you want to make sure that when you're bringing your white down, you have a very faded out white. You see that okay? So this is a pretty good look. I'm going to come back and put a little bit more white on the top here after we cure it, but I'm going to cure this layer right now just for a couple seconds, and then we'll come back and add a little bit more, just a bit. Okay, so looking at this now, I can see a little bit of my natural nail right in here. And I'm just gonna build this white up just a little bit more on the free edge. What works for me is when I'm doing my white, I want to have a little bit more right here and then fade it down, because we're gonna come back with the pink and pull it up. So you want to have a little bit more on the free edge, less bulk in here, because that's where we're gonna build our shape with the pink. But you want your white to be thick enough as well that it's going to support the length on your free edge too. It's a fine balance, and this is just practice and learning how to feather your gel properly. And this technique, I find too, this is a lot of practice. It took me a little bit to learn how to feather the gel properly. And I find it is something that a lot of techs do struggle with, is just getting that exact pressure on your brush as well. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm happy with how this looks. I think I'm going to add a little bit more right in there before we cure that. And again, I'm just letting my brush pull the product around. I'm not really moving it all that much. The nice thing when you're working with the Control Natural White, it floats and it self-levels, so you don't have to worry about moving it around. Just kind of goes where it's needed. Okay, that's looking much better. That's what I want to see. So we'll give this the full 30 seconds in the light, and we'll be right back. So we're ready to apply our pink. So this is the Balance Coverage Warm Pink that I'm using. I really like this tone. It's a nice natural pink, which works really, really well when you're doing an ombre. So we're going to pick up a bead of gel, about that much. And I'm going to start this at the cuticle. And just work this around. Make sure you get really close to your edges, feather it out nicely. And we're going to pull this up over our white. Because the whole point of having an ombre is the colors fading together. You don't want to have a distinct line of white and pink. You want to make sure that everything blends properly. So right about here, you can see I've got kind of a wall of pink. I'm just going to lightly pull this up just a little bit over the white, and blend it. Can you see that? So I'm going to cure this, and then for just a freeze cure, and we'll just come back and fill in a little bit of a low spot that we have. Be right back. Okay, so we're going to come back in just with a little bit more pink gel right along in here. We want to make sure that our stress area is built up nicely. And just pull that back a little bit and bring this up on the top again. And we're also building our shape of our nail doing this too. And make sure that your structure is good. All right, so this is our finished nail. You can see our fade is good, our blend is nice. We've got everything covered that we need. So I'm going to give this the full 30 seconds in the light, and then we'll come back and file and shape this. All right, so our nail is cured. We're just going to wipe off the dispersion layer here. Remove our form. Okay, so let's file this into a coffin style, ballerina style, whatever you guys prefer to call it, tapered square. There's so many names for this shape. But because of our form placement, we've already got our basic shape going, so we don't need to do a lot of filing to get it into that shape. And you guys all know your filing. I like to do my free edge first, do my sidewalls, and then go around the cuticle area. I'm not going to touch the middle part of my nail again until the very end because I'd like to keep that shape. I don't want to flatten it out too much. And we're always checking our free edge as well. Our C-curve, make sure that our line is nice and even. It's got a little bit of a high spot right in here, so we'll take that down. Okay, so let's get rid of all our dust. Okay, so I've just filed a little tiny bit through my white, just on my edges right here. Obviously my initial first thin layer of clear was just a tiny, tiny bit too thick. So I'm just going to touch those up, cure and rebuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just gone back and touched up my little tiny corners that I needed to. Reapply just a little tiny bit more white gel, and I'm just going to lightly buff my edges here, get my shape perfectly smooth. And this is just a super light touch. I don't want to take off that gel that I just put on, but we want to make sure that when we put on our top coat, everything is perfect. There. So there's our Ombre French Baby Boomer French Fade, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm just going to top this nail off with a little bit of shine on. And these nails always look super pretty too if you add a little bit of iridescent glitter too, just to jazz them up a little tiny bit. Okay, so we're going to cure this 30 seconds in our LED, and if you're still using UV light, then it's 2 minutes. Here's our finished nail. So again, the products I used, I mixed a little bit of the Control Natural White and the Control Ultra White together. The Balance Coverage Warm Pink, some Shine On, and a little bit of Balance Clear to build my free edge and pinch. So hopefully that helped you guys a little bit. You can see how to do an ombre gel nail. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.